What up? This is Dart Adams from Dart Adams Living Room. Y'all like, oh shit, this is serious because Dart's doing this while the sun's still up. I recently did a podcast, Boston's Big Podcast, with Jack Barsley, and I talked about a whole bunch of things. There were clips that were, floating around. One of them was the one where I talked about how I personally put Ben Coates above Gronk. I'm not saying Ben Coates is better than Gronk. I personally put Ben Coates above Gronk because I'm 50 and I've been a Patriots fan since 1978. That's neither here nor there. That clip got over 60,000 views online, what have you, gained a lot of traction. But the one that really blew up is like over 100,000 impressions right now. And this is the one I keep getting questions about, DMs, emails about. Is the clip talks about how I say I am responsible for EA Sports ultimately destroying the creator player feature or the creation zone by Live 2005. People are like, wait, what? Some of them like, oh, that was you? Now, anybody who knows me knows that I make my career by me having the facts, having the information, being able to research or find it, and then having the receipts. If I'm not going to say something I didn't do, I'm not going to talk about something I wasn't involved in, and I'm not even going to get into anything that I cannot back up 100%. That being said, some people are like, you're going to have to elaborate, bro, because that clip's like 2 minutes and it can't possibly cover everything. Fine. Back in 1996, I went to Morgan State University. I was broke, playing Live 96. Guy comes into my room. When I'm broke, I have $1 in my pocket because I got sent $11 in cash in ones from home. And I had just paid my boy Nathan from Arizona $10 to cover me from when we got wings the previous week. So I have $1 in my pocket and I'm broke and I'm pissed off and I'm playing live. And my boy comes in. Everybody on campus calls me Celtic because I'm the only person on Morgan State's campus where O'Connell Hall, I think room 312, that was my room. And I was the only person on campus that had a jersey that was Dominique Wilkins 12. Only dude on campus. So people just call me Celtic because there were very few black Bostonians on campus. And so he's like, hey, yo, Celtic, what you doing? And I'm playing live and I'm playing with the Celtics who sucked at the time. The Celtics were so bad that when they played a national game, where they lost to the Bulls by a massive number. I don't have a TV in my room. I'm in the lobby watching it with everybody else. Everybody keeps looking at me. O'Connell Hall, hundreds of dudes, everybody looking at me while the Celtics getting murdered. This is your squad. Anyway, I'm playing and I'm killing the team I'm playing, killing them. And he's like, Joe, how you beating this squad with the Celtics? And he looks, I'm shooting guard. My point guard is Allen Iverson. One of my forwards is Antoine Walker. Other forward is Kevin Garnett. Center is Marcus Camby from UMass. And he's like, yo, you made them? I'm like, yeah. Then I start showing him the rest of the people that I have on other teams. I made Ronnie Fields. I made this player. I got John Wallace over here. I got this dude over here. And he's just like, yo, could you do that for me? I have $1 in my pocket. And I'm mad. And I go, yeah, cool. Just give me $10 and write down like who you want on your team and what team you want them on, and I'll just make them. Now, in order to do that, because the SNES, the cartridge saved all your roster stuff, so he had to bring me his cartridge. And so I did it. He wrote down all the people. I had a notebook, how to make the players. From then, ratings went from 50 to 99. So I had everybody, had the face, the make everybody to make it look like to make them look how they look, a close approximation, and to create a player feature in Live 96. I make the players, put them on the roster, what have you, do it for them, pays me the $10, bam. People go to his room and it's like, hey, yo, Celtic, could you do what you did for Jamal? Yeah, no doubt. $10. Write down everybody you want. High school players, college dudes, whatever. I'm going to know who they are because everybody in the dorm's a basketball head. It was like either the hood or the sports dorm. So I was like a human computer when it comes to like all that stuff, you know? So they give me the people, I have them, I have a notebook now. I do that. I do that for about 8 to 10 people, you know, because I was always broke. I'm not broke anymore. Now I'm letting people use my calling cards because it's 1996, long distance was a different animal back then. So I'm renting out my calling card and I'm making these. So when I get back home to Boston in July 1996, I tell my brother, yo, I do this for SNES, I update the roster. This is something that I had been doing at home anyway, so he wasn't surprised. My friends weren't surprised. I was like, but here's the thing. I did it for so many people there that I know there's going to be people receptive to it here in Boston, where I live here, I know everybody, and I know people on different college campuses. And also the thing is that the PlayStation is out. So I come home and I'm like, yo, we got to get a PlayStation for Christmas. We get a PlayStation for Christmas. One of the first things we buy is Live 97. To give you an idea of how Live 97 is crazy, if you go look at Live 97 and go find Allen Iverson looks like a white dude with a short haircut. To give you an idea how off EA Sports was, or whoever they had doing the stuff, and the ratings and the people were. So I'm just like, what? So I would edit an Allen Iverson to replace the Allen Iverson that was already on the game. Now here's the difference too. Whereas I needed your cartridge to do creator players on Live 96, on a PlayStation, it's a CD game. So all you need to fix somebody's roster is one of these, a memory card. So you give me your memory card, you pay me your money, I put the people on there. There's 50 creator player slots, and it doesn't go from 50 to 99 anymore. It goes from 0 to 99. And now I have a different notebook, and I keep track of all these players that I put on there. And I'm doing it for people that I know at Northeastern, Emerson, Berkeley, and all these other like colleges, BU, BC, all the little small colleges around. And so I'm making, a good amount of money. I'm doing 10, 15, 10 if I know you, 15, maybe if I think you an asshole, 20. Or if you have crazy requests, 20. So I'm making anywhere between like 500 to 1,000 extra dollars, with the new one every semester or what have you, because people get referred or what have you. And I have a notebook. So I'm just going through the notebook and I have the people. Now what happens is, this movie comes out, Soul in the Hole. It's a street ball movie, and it's about this dude, Ed Booger Smith. So when Live 98 comes out, everybody wants me to make Ed Booger Smith and some other dudes, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, that's no problem. So I do that. Again, I'm doing this locally. Live 99 comes out, still doing this thing locally. Now, where everything switches is in May 2000, TNT airs this documentary on Hallowed Ground, Street Ball Champions of Rucker Park. May 2000. So what happens is, now people want all the people that they saw, A. Butter, Adrian Walton, Whole Lot of Game. They want Future, Malloy Nesmith. They want, Nakia Fabulous. They want Shane Drisden, Captain Nappy. They want Kareem Reed, Best Kept Secret. They want Irvin, I'll Be Right Back upon. Cool. I'll do that. Now, when Live 2000 comes out, the demand's even bigger because people have recorded it, people have talked about it, And now people are really hyped for, the Rucker, because that was covering the Rucker 1999. Now everybody's hyped for the Rucker in 2000. Now, what's already happening is you have the And One mixtapes out there. So people are going to want the And One guys. But again, this is still local. Now, when you fast forward to the years, and January 2001, The Life starts airing on ESPN and ESPN2. And then it's covering like high school basketball players, because high school basketball players are in the NBA now. It's covering the ABCD camp, Nike camp. It's following around all these people. And then the Nike Freestyle commercial comes out, and All-Star Weekend 2001, so like February 2001. And then this ushers in this whole nother era, because also what happens in February 2001 is in syndication, Prep Chicago Hoops starts airing. And now Prep Chicago Hoops is important because it's following one of the biggest players in high school, Eddie Curry. But it's all his boys. So you have Sean Dockery, who's a Chicago Prep player who ends up going to Duke later. Will Bynum, who's a big Chicago player who ends up being big in college, and later he's in the pros for a hot minute. Jason Strait, who ends up, I think he plays at Wyoming as a point guard. Najib Eccles, who was at the time a big prep star, but he ends up hurting his knee, and he doesn't really blow up or anything like that. But it's all the people that Eddie Curry's playing, so that means that you're seeing Tyson Chandler. You're seeing other players. And also, one of their homies from Chicago ended up going to the league. Maybe you heard of him, Darius Miles, right? So on the other side of that, you have a lot of programming that happens on like ESPN and other channels. So you have, there's a list that I have. Also, like before that, you had things like Hoops TV that was online, and Inside Hoops and Slam. But I'm getting to why this is important. Between 2001 2002, this whole switch happens where all of a sudden people getting DSL modems and they're getting cable modems. So now we go from dial-up, and you have to go online for a certain amount of time and get off because you couldn't get a phone call while you're online, to now you could be online 24/7. This is the era where LimeWire and Kazaa blow up, or the P2P sites blow up. You're online 24/7. This is when message boards start getting hot. Different websites, communities start growing, because you don't need to log off anymore. Get your information, print it, and get off, and go out in the real world. You can be online all day. You can search for someone on LimeWire, Kazaa, go to sleep, wake up, and it downloaded. It's a different animal now. So other shows happen, like in February 2002, Sidelines LA Hoops happens. Now, why is that important? I don't think a lot of people even remember it on ESPN. It covered the young Clippers. So the young Clippers, we're talking about Darius Miles, we're talking about Elton Brand, we're talking about Lamar Odom, we're talking about homie from Chicago, the knuckleheads. They were hanging around Hassan Adams, I think at Westchester High. So they would cover Westchester High. So they're doing all this stuff, and it's like all these young players. And then also there's this other show, what's on my list? Oh, damn. Down Low, Life in the D-League, which started airing January 2002. It covered like the NBDL, as it was called now. Now it's called the G League. And then Street Ball, the N1 mixtape tour, starts in August 2002. But here's something a lot of people don't remember. There was this special that aired maybe twice on MTV in July 2002, and it was tied into Like Mike. So it had Little Bow Wow, and it was a thing where EBC and N1 players challenged NBA players in a best out of 3 tournament to see who was the best ballers. And it was called MTV Blitz. The first game, Bow Wow played a little bit, then they kicked him off the court, and they're going back and forth. It's like Ali Mo, the Black Widow, a whole bunch of other people, and going to NBA pros. And one of the announcers is Mark Jackson. I think he was like one of the producers. Jack Benson was involved or something like that. And at the end, the third game, the NBA players murder the and1 EBC guys. And Mark Jackson says, like I always say, a pro is a pro is a pro is a pro. Now, Bluegrass Basketball also airs on ESPN2 in June 2002. Why is that important? This is the first footage of OJ Mayo, who's in 7th grade. Right? And is I think who is doing the voiceover? Ashley Judd. So there's that. And then in summer 2002, EBC at Rucker Park starts airing on NBA TV. Right? So all this is happening at the same time. Now, why is all this important? Because when the next live comes out and we're online 24/7, when you go to the Live 2002, Live 2003 message boards, this is what the people want you to make or request on the boards. And this is how I have my in. So they want all the dudes from the and1 mixtape tour, past, present, and future, because I explained all these things about where we were then, right? But you also have to keep in mind that what also helped out is that NBA Street dropped in June 2001. Street Hoops came out in August 2002, right? Now, what also helped with the popularity of some of these players and the requests that I got was the and1 mixtapes. Then you come up to the DVD era, Slam from the Street. But before the DVD era, when people still get VHSs, you have the Nautic 1 and 2 between 2001, 2002 into 2003, spreading all around. So everybody wants the players from the Nautic, or the dudes from Vancouver, King Handles, Goosebumps, Rory, Disaster, Dazzle, Fresh, all them cats, right? So I had an advantage because I'm an adult at this time. 2000, I'm 25. 2001, I'm 26. 2002, I'm 27. And I'm a writer, I'm a journalist who can do research. Usually I'm doing this for teenagers who aren't going to go search somebody's government name and not have the presence of mind or the patience to do all this, work to find out, how tall is this guy? How much does he weigh? What's his number? What's his government name? What school should I put in a school part when I'm making a creator player? I have no problem doing this. I'm doing this anyway. Because I'm doing it for me. All right? I'm doing this for me. Now, also, you have the EBC every year. You had the EBC at Rucker Park airing on NBA TV on digital cable. But you also had NBA.com/Knicks, where they would update you on what happened on the Rucker that day. But there was also a page on Inside Hoops that covered street ball and the EBC at Rucker Park, right? But you also had it happening on message boards. There was a site, ebchoops.com, but it never really updated on time. So what that meant was you had to have people on the message board go to the park, give you the names of players, sometimes their government names, tell you what they did, how many points they scored, all the other stuff, and give you updates. You have to go to the message boards and find it. And sometimes these message boards will come and disappear. These websites wouldn't exist past 6 months. They get shut down, or somebody wouldn't pay for the URL, or they would get hacked, right? So after that, YBA happens. And this is where you get players like 757, Sante Gale, Young One, aka Exile, Anthony Young, all these other players. King Handles eventually goes to YBA after the Nautic thing dies out. Now, with all that happening, you also have publications like Slam, Dime, and Bounce. I could never get an issue of Bounce. But I had Slam at a subscription, and I also got a subscription to Dime. Now, in these years, I'm working. I have jobs. So I work late night. And then later on, I also start working as a manager at CVS. So what ends up happening is CVS's have magazine racks. I'm working overnight. Every place we go, we're cleaning oven hoods and restaurants and hotels and stuff like that. I'm in every place that has, a late night store open. I go to the magazine rack. So I'm buying every basketball magazine, every source book you could imagine. When I'm working at CVS, I get every newspaper. So that means that I'm getting the USA Today, which has the top 25 high school report. I get that. I might take an X-Acto knife or a razor, cut that out, take that with me when I do my reporting. So I'm the person on these boards who people are requesting players from. I'm doing updates all the time. I'm doing all this stuff. And also, Nike gets into the game and they start battlegrounds. So they have King of the Court and then King of the World. Between 2003 and 2005, I think. That's when it was. I think the Nike Battlegrounds starts then. So I feel like I'm on the boards and I'm seeing that people seeing that I'm showing up EA, because EA's the division that handles the ratings and everything else and what the players look like and what they can do is based in Vancouver. So they have EA Sports Canada, they called it later. They called it EA Sports Vancouver. And then they also worked with EA Big with NBA Street Volume 2. So they would pick people to test and also come on and work with EA from who's active on the boards. I had the most popular thread on Live 2002, Live 2003, Live 2004. However, I'm showing them up. However, I'm antagonizing them. And pretty much anybody who gets picked up off the boards, who ends up in a testing capacity or doing stuff or anything like that, they're like, yo, they hate you. They can't stand you. Yo, Green. At the time, my online, my username was Green Dynasty. GRN, capital DYNS Dynasty. The Celtics, Green Dynasty. The Celtics hadn't won shit in a long time, but Green Dynasty. Now, I noticed that they work with the dudes from the Nordic who are in Vancouver. They bring them in to do dribbles and stuff like that for NBA Live and NBA Street Volume 2. So I'm like, well, if they do that, then maybe I can get myself a job if I start doing stuff. So I would do that. And then what I would also do is I would email Lang Whitaker every week, showing them this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do. I like to get a feature in Slam because I'm adding, to this game. And also, if I was utilized, I could be used in the street or a similar thing, because I felt like what I was doing was perfect for being somebody behind one of these street ball games coming up. Maybe And One could pick me up. Somebody. That's what I was angling for. Never happened. So there were 50 slots, and then at the time when you did Creation Zone, they had all the faces, all the body types, the hair types, eyes, noses, all that. But also they had a list of all the schools that if you got drafted into the NBA, and a long list. And then they made it so for even the free agents. So you had a long list of all the schools and all the colleges, all the schools, and also all the countries the free agents came from. So you can make pretty much anybody. There were previous lives where you couldn't make an Asian player. Later on, you can make Asian players. You can make players of pretty much any ethnicity. So I could make anybody. And the thing was that I was getting so many requests that I wanted to be ahead of the curve. So I was making people that people didn't even request yet, anticipating they would ask for them. I anticipate you're going to ask for Sante Gale. I anticipate you're going to ask for this guy. I anticipate you're going to ask for Tavoris Bell because he was on the bus. I anticipate you're going to ask for this person. I anticipate you're going to ask for Springs, Jamal Springs from Detroit. You're going to ask for Silk. You're going to ask for Bad Santa. You know, you're going to ask for Jamar Davis, the pharmacist. I made them already, and I would just do these drops of maybe 12 to 20 players. Sometimes weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. And this would really get under EA's skin. Now, in the era of the DVD, who ruled? Now, you also have to keep in mind that during this era, this is also the era of Netflix by mail. So you could rent Slam from the Street, YBA 2 to War, Nike Battlegrounds, King of the World, King of the Court, all these joints. Any and one joint, and one Skip versus Ali Mo, like, you know, the Asian tour joint when they went to Japan and Korea. Like, you could get any and one mixtape and just rent that shit through Netflix. If you had your queue of 5, you could just order a bunch of them and just watch them and then send them all back. 3 in the same sleeve if you wanted. I had the advantage of being an older guy who was actually a journalist because I covered basketball. I would be a correspondent for Inside Hoops. I'd be a correspondent for Versus. I'd be a correspondent for, you know, EA. I'd be a correspondent. I do stuff for IGN. I do stuff for Game Facts. I do stuff for like all these different like basketball sites that don't exist anymore. All these message boards that don't exist anymore. I just do a thread or I just report from them. I go to Boston Summer League. I go to like some street ball tournament. I go to college games and I would just watch and I would scout. And I was covering all the high school and all the international players at the same time. I was showing up EA so badly that they were like, what can we do? What can we do? Oh, we'll just blow up the creator player screen entirely. We'll make it harder to do. We'll randomize it. We'll turn it to the creation zone. We'll take away all the options that we gave you to make it easier to make players, to give, you know, playability and functionality to this game. Because the thing is that after you play it for so long, the creator player option is what made the game. Like, they had a practice mode, and also they had a one-on-one mode, and also they had a game mode. So you could just have your creator players play each other or go one-on-one. I could create, I was creating Lamar Odom back in, 1997, so I would have him, go against, whoever the high school players are. I was making Sean, who was in high school at the time, before he was in high school. I was making international players before they came over, and so they just blew up the whole creation zone because they just didn't like the idea of me adding playability and me getting props over them, because every year they made the game, they screwed up the ratings or what somebody looked like or what their abilities were. Josh Howard not being able to block shots, Josh Smith, not being able to block shots. And I'm like, Josh Smith was blocking 4 or 5 shots a game. Like, what are you doing? Like, certain players can't dunk. Speedy Claxton's slow. Like, I'm like, what are y'all doing? Players who are known for their handles, rated 69 and dribbling. Like, what are y'all doing? And I was like, look, I get it. You're in Vancouver, so sometimes you don't know everything about every player. And the people on your team don't. I do. I got you. Never happened. Now, some of you were like, man, we're going to need to see, like, proof. We're going to need to see, like, show me the baby, So I'm going to show you some of the things I have. Slam. There's the street ball slams. The Kicks ones, who cares? But this is what's important. Street and Smiths. Sporting News. Athens Sports. Street and Smiths. Sport News. I took this shit seriously. I did this from between 2001 and 2004. They blew up the Creation Zone. They made it completely unusable. I had no reason to play the game anymore because I couldn't make it fun so I could actually play it. Because again, they did a terrible job every year. And then these were just extra for me. These are like Beckett's. Yeah, I think LeBron's on the cover for this one. Yeah. That's CBSSportsline.com basketball. I don't think anybody even went to that website like that. Now, what else do I have here? I wanted to cover every base, so dime. I had this dime subscription. I think I had one for 2 years before I was like, I just got so, OJ Mayo on the cover. I got so disillusioned with what was happening that I think I stopped. Fat Joe talking about the Rucker. There was also this documentary called Harlem Hoops by Jack Benson. I'm gonna put this, let's put it in the lap. Now, what else do I have? Now you're like, oh damn, man, you were really serious about like having all that. No, I'm not done. I did this between 2001 and 2004. If there was a basketball source book or a guide, I had it. College, pro, international. I wish that they would allow me to have the opportunity to do women's players. Shit, I want to do it now. I promise you. And then this is the last box. This is when it died out. This is 2004, 2005. So I'm a researcher, and people are like, yo, they hit me up to do projects, film, television, books. And they're like, yo, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z, and I'm trying to find this and this and this and this. I'm like, yo, give me a minute. I go through my archives, and I know exactly when it happened, what article it was, because I memorized what article it was, and I know what you're talking about. Or I go to YouTube because I remember the episode, or I remember the documentary, and I will pull up the time code, and I'll send it to them, and I'm like, this is where it was. And they're like, damn, there's a reason why I'm in demand as a researcher and a fact checker. All right? And also, when I say I did some shit, I did it. When I say I know something, I know it. When you ask me, can you find something? I can. So this is the cutoff from when I was like, all right, I'm not doing this shit anymore. Now, That's just the research materials. Now you're wondering, we need to see proof of what you were doing. So this is when I would work and I would have magazines, the Parade, high school boys team. What year is this? Well, that's LeBron James, and he's player of the year. So you see that, and you see writing here in the list of these names and what a star is and who's going to college and doing what. There's that. You see some of his names. Is that Sean May? That is Carmelo Anthony, Paul Davis, Sean May, and Raymond Felton. And then I have, is that? Somebody asked me to do a piece about Jason Maravich. So I had to find this article so I could do create a player of Jason Maravich, who is Pistol Pete Maravich's son. This is the New York Post. I had to go here because Peter Vesey used to write about Sebastian Telfair. So I have all these old, when I worked at CVS, I have these old articles about Sebastian Telfair, covering him when he played for the Rail Splitters at Lincoln and his teammates. Parade All-American lists. That's Leon Poe, Chris Paul. The other side, Luol Deng, Ndudi Ebi, and Kendrick Perkins. This is, Chris Humphries, Shannon Brown, David Padgett, and Brian Butch. Oh, that went well. I know what year that is. And again, Parade's All-America High School Boys Basketball Team, and another LeBron James on the cover. He's on this one and this one. 2 different pictures. Wow, right? I'm telling you. And this is the Parade All-American High School boys team. Sebastian Telfair in the lead. And on here is Marvin Williams and Malik Hairston. And this is a Lenny Cook article. I made so many Lenny Cooks. I went to the Summer League where Lenny Cook, Leo Papil picked up Lenny Cook to be in the Boston Celtics Summer League when LeBron James played his first pro games, when the Cleveland Cavaliers brought the entire starting 5 to the Summer League, and he would not let him play in that game. See this? This is the Sunday, June 22nd, 2003 Daily News. And that is a picture of Lenny Cook. I got a little big-headed in high school. I didn't take the game seriously. I listened to the hype. Now I have to work at my game. Now, I'm going to show you something. At the top, it says N1 Street Ball, Tuesdays. September 3rd, 11 p.m. Eastern, 3 weeks. N1 Street Ball, the N1 Tour 2002 replays Wednesday noon, ESPN2, Tuesdays 4 p.m. and 4:30 ESPN. Thursdays, 2:30 p.m. ESPN2 or no replay on Wednesday. This is me finding out the schedule because they did not print that shit. That's how much work I did to find out because I had to create these players and anticipate who was going to be requested because I didn't want to have a thing under me. So this list says Nakia Fabulous Miller, Iona, Damian Cross Country Daniels, David Enigma Seals, I had to find out which one, Charles S.A. Faison, Corey Showtime Williams, Showtime changed, Jason the Messenger Wallace, Linzel Predator Vaughn, Kevin Ninja Bridges, Isaiah Losing Isaiah Francis, Jermaine Maniac Wright, Ryan Special Effects Williams, Marquise Black Jesus Keys, Andre the One Barrett Seton Hall, James Dix Williams, Corey Homicide Williams, Claude Select Stanton, Taheem Fairwarning Stewart, Daniel 265 Artest, it became my brother's keeper, and then the brain. And then Obi-Wan, John High Octane Harvey, 50 Robert Martin, Sick Witted, Robin Kennedy, Flash Antoine Howard, Shane the Dribbling Machine Woney, Ron the Terminator Matthias, Lonnie Prime Objective Harrell, Duke Freeman McCamey from Fordham. Someone requested that. That's that list. And then here's a couple creator player lists with the ratings. One of my schedules from Reebok Summer Pro League, and the rosters on the back when I was reporting. You know, I just got a whole bunch of like sheets of creator players. A whole bunch of these. Whole bunch of sheets of creator players. There's papers flying around. The ratings, how they look. Because you would have to do the ratings, and then you would have to figure out. So I'm going to read something to you. Body 4, face 28. Flat top, mini afro, goatee 2, wide nose. Face 20, short hair with line, thin mustache, narrow nose. Face 20, 17 or 24, fade or buzz 1, goatee 1. Face 30, buzz 1. Huge beard, body 6, face 6, beard 2. Body 4, face 4, side part 3, narrow nose. These are things that you had to figure out for each player when you're making them. And I have USA Today high school rankings, St. Anthony, New Jersey, Renaissance, Detroit, Milby, Houston, Peabody, Alexandria, Oak Hill Academy, Mount Wilson, Virginia, Edgewater, Orlando, Mount Vernon, New York, Peoria, Vashon, St. Louis, White Station, Memphis, Dominguez, Compton, California, Westchester, Fairfax, Simon Grants, Philadelphia, Cedar Hill, Texas, South Gwinnett, Snellville, Georgia, Centennial, Compton, California, St. Raymond's, the Bronx. 38 old season lifts Oak Hill. So I have all of this. And then also Edgewater, Florida versus Lincoln, New York. ESPN2, 7 p.m. tomorrow. That was a big deal because I believe it was the game where Sebastian Telfair played Darius Washington Jr. Who's on the sheet? P. Champion, Philip Champion. A. Owens, Aaron Owens. W. Dixon, Wally Dixon. T. Gittins, that's Headache. L. James, LeBron James. Cook. Sebastian Telfair, Carmelo Anthony. Tyreek Evans, Shane Woney, R. Martin, J. Harvey. I'm trying to figure out who requested all that. J. Frazier, that's Jason Frazier. M. Banks, that's Marcus Banks. S. Dockery, that's Sean Dockery. F. Garcia, Francisco Garcia. M. Sweetney, that's Mike Sweetney. L. Poe, Leon Poe. H. Adams, that's Hassan Adams. T. Outlaw, Travis Outlaw. K. Perkins, Kendrick Perkins. What's that name? R. Gaines. Reese Gaines. O. Mayo, O.J. Mayo. C. Wilcox, that's Chris Wilcox. D. Milicic, Darko Milicic. H. Warwick, Hakeem Warwick. E. Okafor, Emeka Okafor. T. Francis, Torrin Francis. Torrin Francis from Massachusetts. He ended up playing at what was the name? Notre Dame. Adidas guy. C. Villanueva, R. Felton, J. Hodge, Julius Hodge. He played at NC State. S. May, Sean May, D. Wade, Dwayne Wade. T. Ford, you know who that is, T.J. Ford. T. Bell, Tavoris Bell. J. White, James White. L. Head, Luther Head. And who's this? B. Cook. forget who that is. Greg Oden, Jason Bennett, Lamar Aldridge, Daniel Gibson, Len Bias. And then I had a request for a dude, Kenechekwu Sunday Obi. Damn. But yeah, I keep all the receipts, man. Oh, and here's something that's wild. I printed out the 2002 to 2006 draft board so I could work from it. The names on here: Yao Ming, Neil Fingleton, Chris Marcus, who went to Western Kentucky, Cal Borchard, Jamal Sampson, Keith Butler at Temple, Dan Godzilla at Zurich, Lee Benson, who went to Brown Mackey JC. He eventually went to the EuroLeague and he started playing in China. And there's a documentary about him that's crazy. He was just playing this a renegade ball in China. If you find the Lee Benson documentary, it's crazy. Melvin Ely, Taj Holden, Paul Davis, Kendrick Perkins, Randall Jackson, my dude, Chris Lang, Brian Cook, Michael Thompson, Tony Key, Centennial High School, JC, May Beener, Nene Hilario, Anderson Varishal. I posted those because they played against the U.S. in the Goodwill games as teenagers. That's how far back this goes. Ron Terminator Mathias, Dana the Show Dingle, Keith Bogans, Frederick Jones, that's Freddie Jones, he went to the Indiana Pacers. Tito Maddox, who was at Fresno State and then went to Houston Rockets. This is a whole list. This page is Ron Curry, Ray Felton, Adrian Whole Lotta Game Walton, Bevan, Ida Tiger Robin, Kenny Satterfield, Darryl Showtime Hill, Tony Harris, Horace Jenkins, who played at William Patterson, the Rucker League. He was a dunker, and then he went to the Italian Premier League. Omar Cook, that's who it was, because he was a free agent with the Boston Celtics. Terrence T.J. Ford, Ed Cota, Talik Brown, Alan Ray, Sebastian Telfair, Monty Mack, that was my dude. God Shamgard, Steve Logan, I believe he played for Cincinnati, and then he went to the Golden State Warriors. Again, this list: Andre Brown, Shane, Captain Nappy Drisden, Theron Smith at Ball State, Corleone Young, Hargrave Military Academy, Lonnie Baxter, Chris Jeffries, Osman Sisi, goddamn, Kareem Rush, Jason Capel, Antoine Scott from Wake Forest, who went to the NBDL, Ron Grizzard for Alabama, went to the NBDL, Antoine Wright, Key Madison, Oskaloosa Walton JC, Evan Burns, UCLA scratched off SD State. I remember what happened there. Kelly Whitney, Michigan scratched off Seton Hall. I remember what happened there. Darrell Alamo Jackson from the Rucker League. Cedric Bozeman, I always confuse him with Josh Childress because I would do the creative play that I'd have to make them how they looked. As Ismail Muhammad from Georgia Tech, dunker. Denham Brown, Yukon from Canada. Willie Shaw, 6'6", 195, shooting guard, small forward, St. John's, falling fast. Preston Shumpert, Syracuse, 6'6", 210. Byron Mouton, 6'6", 220, Maryland. Ronald Dupree, 6'6", 210, LSU. Andre Iguodala, future superstar, 6'6", 190, Arizona. That was my full draft board from 2002 to 2006. Some of these people I never even got an opportunity to really make because by 2005, it was trash. Now, this is Jinghua Chen. There was an article about him. People were requesting me to make him. I did. People got pissed off at me because I made it so that he might not be that great as a pro. They were like, "Yo, why you dissing dude? He's gonna be a pro one day." I was like, "I'm not guaranteed he's gonna be a pro one day. I don't even know if he's 100% good enough to play college basketball in the States. And also, there's no guarantee he grows anymore because he was a teenager and he's already 6'4", just like OJ Mayo. OJ Mayo was 6'4" by the time he was in 7th grade. OJ Mayo didn't grow anymore. This dude didn't grow anymore either. Chinese national team, He's played for the same team forever. He's a legend over there, but he never came to the States. Even though he played really well in a couple of that is Dwight Howard. Nate Daniels, Darren Little Magic Dorsey, Randy Pulley, Richard Jeter, Filiberto Rivera, Diego Rivera. This is a list of junior college players that came up that was in the Slam magazine that people were requesting. Jake Scott, Omar Thomas, Olu Famutimi, J.R. Giddens, DJ White, Aaron Brooks, Dion Harris, Melvin Buckley, Tarion Takminer, Yi Jun Lun, Liaoning Basketball School, China. I wrote this on the back of this is one of my checks from CVS. So yeah, I think that's enough proof that this is something that I actually did and I took seriously. And I have a notebook full of URLs, but I'm not getting that. And then somebody requested something from me. This dude, his name was DeMarcus Brown from Lancaster, Texas. And then there's a list of names. These are usernames. Dowell, short hair, no facial hair, black hair, 6'5", 6'7". Odin, short hair, mustache, brown, black. Bennett, short mustache, white guy. Arlington Country Day, Jacksonville, Florida. Swift, Bakersfield, California, Highland. OJ Mayo, North College Hill, Ohio. Jarvis Walker, 6'3", Midlothian, Bremen. Someone requested me to make Antoine Walker's little brother because he was at an ABCD camp for Adidas. He never went pro, of course. My memory is so good, I remember why someone requested that. LMRG95 at AOL.com, Supreme D at AOL.com, Transition7 at Hotmail.com. These are 3 people that made these requests. Sean Livingston, Randolph Morris, Antoine Wright, Dwight Howard, Sebastian Telfair, Charlie Villanueva, Josh Smith, Glenn Big Baby Davis. So yeah. I kept all that shit. Damn, this shit is like an hour long. I'm sorry. It's just that sometimes people are like, ain't no way in hell. Because I come on here and I sound like Commander McBragg sometimes. And it's like, this motherfucker did everything. No way all his claims are true. I'm never gonna lie about what I did. Ever. I make my career, my life, by people being able to trust me. And me standing by my word. So if I said I did some shit, or if I said I can do some shit, or I said I can find something, or I know the answer, I know. Don't argue with me in the comment section. I know. Don't argue me with the comment section. I did it. Don't waste your motherfucking time. Because I'm from Boston, I'm black and I'm petty, and I will spend an hour proving to you that I am who I say I am, and I did what I said I did. Now, that being said, I was an asshole online and in those message boards, and EA was never going to hire me. And the thing is, the bottom fell out of everything anyway. The bottom fell out for Donatic. The bottom fell out for And One. The bottom fell out for Street Ball entirely. I'm going to read something that I wrote, explaining why I became a hip hop journalist and stopped writing about basketball. After a couple of years of writing about basketball, I realized that I also spent quite a bit of time writing think pieces about the NBA suddenly tried to distance itself from certain practices and things associated with hip hop or urban culture following the U.S. national team's disappointing bronze medal finish in the 2004 Summer Olympics. The U.S. national team's failure was blamed mostly on the individualistic, playground-inspired basketball of Allen Iverson, Stephon Marbury, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwayne Wade. A lot of it seemed to be both culturally and racially motivated. I was very disturbed by the scapegoating, as I saw this could potentially be a growing problem as early as the U.S. national team's embarrassing sixth-place showing in the 2002 FIBA World Championships. It was then that a team of lower-tiered NBA superstars stepped in to play for their country when the overwhelming majority of players that were initially sought after declined their invitations. They would rather spend the offseason with family or rest up to prepare for the upcoming NBA season rather than don that red, white, and blue uniform. Among the players that opted to not play in the 2002 FIBA World Championships were Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin Garnett, and Kobe Bryant. Both Jason Kidd and Ray Allen were initially slated to join the squad, but both were forced to back out due to injury. The piecemeal U.S. national team was beaten by Argentina in only the second preliminary round, then were ultimately ousted from contention by Yugoslavia in the quarterfinals. To further add insult to injury, the George Karl coached U.S. team benched their leading scorer Paul Pierce in the final game and lost to Spain. They won their first 3 games by a combined 86 points, but lost to Argentina, Yugoslavia, and Spain by a combined 16 points. This should have been the national team's wake-up call, but what they instead did was blame it on the fact they fielded a team of second and third-tier NBA players, which led to their dreadful showing. In actuality, it was arrogance and ignorance that proved to be the undoing of the once mighty U.S. national team on the international stage. They believed that all they had to do to beat the best in the world at any team game played for national pride under international rules was to pick any random 12 NBA superstars and a few random coaches and just show up. Nothing could have been further from the truth. Not only were the teams they faced loaded with serious talent, but many of these players on these national teams have been teammates on various national and club teams since the age of 16, and they had chemistry. They also had the luxury of playing under FIBA rules all year round. In addition, these squads played for national pride and had no fear of the U.S. national team after seeing a loaded team of NBA superstars only beat the Laurent Sciarra and Antoine Rigaudot-led France by 10 points in the gold medal game of the 2000 Summer Olympics. Their aura of invincibility was gone, and the rest of the basketball world took notice. What happened next in the 2004 Summer Olympics in Athens was inevitable. The U.S. national team, comprised of a gang of top-tier NBA superstars and young talent that wouldn't turn down a chance to represent their country in international play, faced a tough field of veteran global superstars. That all looked forward to knocking them off playing team basketball under FIBA rules. FIBA rules basketball is a different animal from NBA basketball if you haven't noticed. Ask anybody who I know who's played overseas, who's played in the G League, smelled the NBA, and then had to play in the Euro League. Pick a league, pick a division. When the Puerto Rican national team led by Carlos Arroyo beat what was essentially an NBA All-Star team by 19 points playing FIBA rules in their opening game, it became apparent to everyone who was unclear on the concept previously. The teams that played together year-round that had the same cores for years were all adept at making the different court dimensions and differences in the rules work to their advantage. The U.S. national team were ill-prepared to deal with flex screens and slow to adjust playing without having to rely on a low block inside game or create space for their shooters. The power game was out, so they were reduced to being jump shooters, something they weren't used to. A group of thrown-together NBA superstars unfamiliar with playing under international rules is going to lose to a well-coached and well-prepared team with at least 3 NBA-ready players on their roster in a majority of contests, period. That's just common basketball sense. The U.S. national team limped to a bronze medal after losing to Argentina and barely dispatching a tough Lithuanian squad. Afterwards, a tsunami of blame fell on the shoulders of NBA superstars and their culture, even though they actually showed up to play for their country and represent the United States. David Stern took immediate action and decided to attempt to repair the image of the NBA following this occurrence. So then I talk about the malice at the palace, the NBA no longer letting people play the Summer Rucker League and the N1 Tour and all these other things. And then the dress code. And that's where I'll stop. But yeah, so anybody wondering, hey, yo, Dart, what the hell were you talking about? Did you really do all that for N1 and then EA Sports Canada, Vancouver / EA Big completely destroyed the creation zone and the creator player option on live just to make sure you didn't show them up for another year? It happened. It happened. I was there, I lived it, it happened. That's all I can say. one.